There's been some talk that the Cavs may try to move up and get that number 1 pick to get Cade Cunningham. What do you think of that? What do you think it would take? What are some of the things that you have come up with when you've looked at this?
Well, I mean, you read the stuff, for example, like Chris Vito wrote. I mean, Cade Cunningham seems like a perfect fit for what the Cavaliers need. They need a go-to guy on the perimeter, especially in the wings, a guy who's got size at the 3, can shoot, can defend. Cade Cunningham does all those things. And I mean, as much as some people have said he's not the perfect fit, I feel like they've said that more because of the team, more so than the players on the roster. And I do think Cunningham fits well. To trade up, I was actually looking back at the 2017 draft when the Sixers and the Celtics traded in the Markelle Fultz deal. I think that was from 3-1. The Sixers climbed up and they sent a future first-round pick to Boston. It may take a similar package to do that if the Cavs want to move up with the Pistons, but because it's the division rival, I wonder if that takes more. I wonder if that's a situation where Colin Sexton would have to move, a situation where either trade 3 and Sexton to Detroit for number 1, or say 3 Sexton and a future one that's protected, say in the top 7 picks in 2022 or something like that, where you could, if you're Detroit, would you rather have Cade Cunningham or would you want to start your rebuild off with Colin Sexton? You know, granted, you would have to sign him to an extension, but Colin Sexton and Evan Mobley would be a pretty fun combination, I think. So both teams seem like they would win, but for the Cavaliers, getting Cunningham would be just absolutely tremendous for them.
The other thing that I would say, because you have Jared Allen, who's going to want, a big time, $100 million plus contract. Colin Sexton is probably looking in that same neighborhood. I don't know that you can sign those two guys to the type of contracts that they want and have a guy that's going to be the number 3 overall pick, for lack of a better thing, who's going to be coming behind that and need a contract as well.
Right, I agree. I mean, number 1, I would personally sign Jared Allen. That'd be my first priority because I love what he showed when he came to Cleveland. He's got 3-point shooting potential in there that I think just needs a little work and refinement and confidence before he's ready to let that fly. I don't know if he'll ever be like Brook Lopez in terms of wanting to shoot that 3, but you see the athleticism, you see the defensive ability, he's got good touch. He's the guy, he's more of the modern center that I think you would want to keep around. And I do believe he and Evan Mobley would be very good fits together because of Mobley's got a much more diverse offensive game to him. He's more slender, but I think he can really move on the perimeter better than you see most 7-footers do. When it comes to Colin Sexton, it's very complicated. And I obviously there's a lot of, criticism that's his way. I think some of it's unfair because he's just a certain player. He's not going to be your 6'1" guy who's your point guard averaging 25 points, 7 assists. That's not his game. He's a microwave type scorer with tremendous athleticism. He's got 3-point ability that, the want to shoot there seems like it kind of comes and goes. Is that worth the max? I don't think so, because you're not going to get past the size limitations. Maybe he's got a Monte Ellis type ceiling. That's not a guy you pay max money to. He seems like the ultimate super sub. Like he could be a Lou Williams kind or like a Monte Ellis kind of player, something along those lines. And that's where it gets tricky, is you have to figure out how you want to manage those pieces. And if the Cavs trade up for Cade Cunningham, Sexton would certainly be an easy piece you could see moved potentially in a deal, I think, just for fit purposes. Then you could have a starting 5 at Darius Garland at the point, Isaac Okoro at the 2, Cunningham at the 3, and either Kevin Love or Larry Nance at the 4 with Jared Allen. Then I think that's a pretty good starting 5 that I think would have a shot to compete for at least a spot in the play-in tournament this year, if not even a playoff spot within a year or two.
And again, we're not saying Colin Sexton isn't good. You're going to have to give up a valuable piece to move up. But I would tend to agree with you. I don't think he's the type of guy that you can give a max contract to. He's like the ultimate number 2 on a good team. Your number 2 scorer who can come in and he's going to score 20 a game, but there are some limitations, some things that he can't do on the court all the time.
Right, and I want to be positive about Colin right here. I mean, we know I see a guy in Colin Sexton who's going to be in the league a very long time because of his ability to score. He has a great mentality, a great work ethic. We've seen how he's really grown throughout his career to become a guy who is a borderline all-star this year. I think it just with him is the things he can't control. He's a 6'1" player who's not a true point guard. He's more of a 2 in a point guard body, which really limits him. If he was a 6'5" guy, 6'6" or whatever, then we'd be having a completely different conversation because Sexton would have the size to really defend players at a position that I think he's better suited to play. But when you look at just what he is, he's an amazing scorer. He is a worker, as good a worker as you're going to find. He wants to defend. He is an aggressive player. He's an incredible athlete. There's a lot to love about Colin Sexton. And when it comes to trades, you have to give to get. So whether it's in a trade for Cade Cunningham, whether you want to try and put a package together for someone like Ben Simmons or Brandon Ingram or whoever becomes available this offseason, Sexton is an interesting piece. Now, teams are going to have to pay him. That's the Cavaliers thing. That's the thing with the Cavaliers, too, is Sexton's going to need to get paid. So how does that value depreciate at all because of that looming contract negotiation that's coming up with him?